Hello everyone, this is Neha Tulsyan from Crescent Creation. Welcome to another video on my YouTube channel. Today's video is for Not2Shabby Shop design team, and I have combined two stamp sets from Not2Shabby Shop to create this card, and I really like how this turned out. So let me show you how I did this. I started with stamping the images from Happy Together clear stamp set from Not2Shabby Shop on a light craft color cardstock from my stash. This stamp set has these two hands that are holding each other, and then there are a couple of accessories like the watch that I'm stamping here first, and I'm using Lawn Fawn Jet Black ink to stamp my images as I'm gonna Copic color my images later. Stamping the image on a post-it note to create a mask, and before I put the mask on the watch, I'm lining the hand image with the watch. Then I'll put the mask on and stamp the hand image. With masking technique, you always want to stamp the image that's going to be on the front first. In this card, the watch is supposed to be in the front and the wrist or the hand is supposed to be under the watch or behind the watch. So I stamped first the watch and then masked it and stamped the hand image. Next, I'm going to stamp the other accessories like the ring and the bracelet for the girl's hand. The ring images are tiny and are within the sketched line of the hand's image, so I do not have to do the masking technique for these images. And the bracelet is just a bunch of strings that can be stamped directly without any masking technique. Here I'm using my Copic multi-liner to go over the bracelet since I did not get a crisp image while stamping the bracelet. I wanted to add something extra to this image, so I decided to add a tattoo, and for that I decided to use one of the flower stamp from Bouquet of Happiness clear stamp from Not2Shabby Shop. To stamp that flower image, I'm first using some post-it tapes to mask off the arm for the girl, and then stamp the image using jet black ink from Lawn Fawn. And this is how it looks once you remove all the masks. For coloring the images, I started with the girl's hand. I'm using some E markers here. I started with my E35 and then blended it out with E33 and then lastly used E30 as my lightest marker, which actually matched my cardstock perfectly. And I used that E30 marker and added color over the floral image, my tattoo image too, to make the skin look even all over. Then I brought in E37 marker because I did not feel that E35 was dark enough. So I added shadows with my E37, then blended it out with E35, followed by E33 and lastly used E30 as my lightest color. Now for the boy's hand, I wanted to make it a little darker, so I started with E39 as my darkest color, added shadows wherever needed and then blended it out with E37. Then used E35 and lastly used E33 as my lightest marker. This image is very beautifully sketched. Love the details that's been added. It helps a lot while coloring when you have such details for sketches like this. And I really like the accessories that you get in this stamp set. I mean, you have the option to add those accessories or not add them. And that makes the set so versatile. Here I'm adding color to the nails using R12 and R39 markers. And here I'm using my Pilot Metallic Gold permanent paint marker to add color to both the finger rings. This is one of my favorite metallic pens to use. I have these in gold and silver color and I use them all the time. These pens are from Amazon and they are linked in the description box below. Now for my watch, I'm using some blue markers. I'm using B28 as my darkest color. Next I'm using B26 followed by B24 and lastly using B23 as my lightest color. Now to color my tattoo, I'm using the Luminance pen from Caran and I'm using the 508 color pencil. It's a dark grey color and I'm using that to create a black and grey tattoo. With my pencil, I'm using some flicking motions to add shades to this flower image. And overall, I kept the coloring pretty simple. Just wanted to add a little bit of shadow to give a little bit of depth to this floral image. Next, I used a dark brown pencil and added shading to his hand. And this one extra step added a lot of texture and depth to this image. And this is how my image looks once all done. Next, I fuzzy cut the image, uh, and I did not keep any white outline around it. And here I'm using my Tombow brush marker and adding color to the edges of this fuzzy cut image to make it look more finished. Next, for my background, I'm trimming off this pattern paper from my sweet Valentine paper pad from Not2Shabby shop. I'm lining up the stripe pattern with my guillotine trimmer and trimming off stripes of pattern paper for my background. Here I have trimmed off a white card front that measures 3 1/4 by 8 1/4 inch. And here I'm gonna add glue behind those striped pattern paper that I just trimmed out and glue these to the background panel, creating a striped background for my card. Initially, I started gluing the stripes using my ATG tool. Later, I switched to liquid glue as it was easier to line up those stripes in equal distance with liquid glue than with the tape adhesive. So here you see I removed my second stripe as I was not happy with the placement. I carefully removed it and switched to my liquid glue from Barely Arts. Once I was done gluing all the strips, I trim off the excess using my scissor. Added 2 more strips to the corner of the cardstock, trimmed off the excess, and that's it. My background was ready. Next, for my sentiment, I'm white heat embossing the sentiments congratulation and happy anniversary from the Happy Together clear stamp set from Not2Shabby shop. I'm using the mermaid cardstock from Lawn Fawn, which is a perfect match for the pattern paper that I used. Before stamping the sentiment, I prepped the surface using anti-static powder tool and then stamped the sentiment using clear ink and now pouring in white embossing powder. Then I heat set those sentiment using my heat tool, and here I'm using my guillotine trimmer and trimming off the two sentiments. I created a card base using the same mermaid cardstock from Lawn Fawn that measures 3.5 inches by 8.5 inches, just a 1/4 inch bigger than our background panel. Gluing the background panel to the card base using some tape. Added some foam tape behind the main image and gluing that to the left side of the card. Here I'm trimming off the sentiment strips just a little bit so that it can fit my card better, and added some foam tape behind the sentiment strips and now gluing it to the right side of the card. To finish off the card, added a gold metallic jewel to her finger ring and also added heart clay bits in light blue color all over the card front. And this is how my card looks once I'm all done. I'm so happy with the result. I just love how this card turned out. I hope you guys liked it too. If you did, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel for more crafty videos. Also hit that notification bell to get notified every time I upload a new video. Here are a few more videos that you might like to watch. Thank you for visiting. Have a nice day.